we got to talk about the quarterback situation. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Look, Russell Wilson is a guy who has had a ton of success in this league. The last 3 years, well, let's say the last 2 years, because the 3 years in Seattle, that year was up and down. But the last 2 years, again, up and down. That first year in Denver was despicable. I mean, let's just call it what it was. It was absolutely atrocious what went on. Now, a lot of that was him. A lot of it was the head coaching. But either way, it was just bad quarterback play. Sean Payton comes in the following season and, he kind of dives into some of the things that Russell Wilson wasn't doing well, but I don't think Sean Payton wanted Russell to begin with. I think it was just, look, he's here. He's got this contract that he's got to be here. And as soon as they got enough, cachet to say, we're just going to eat this money, they ate the money and they got rid of him. But if you take a real deep dive into some of the play, I mean, it just wasn't good quarterback play, man. I mean, you look at some of these throws here that we got up on the screen. It was just bad quarterback play. Russell Wilson can be a better quarterback than that. Now, look, he's been in the league for a long time. But when you are in a situation where your coach doesn't want you, that's bad. And regardless of how much of a veteran that you are, when you can feel that the coach is not behind you and the organization is not behind you, it's tough to play good football. I don't care who you are, and that's the one thing about Russell Wilson is that he came out and said he's had the interviews. Look, they came to him and said, look, we need you to eliminate, the injury guarantee of your contract. And nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to do that. He is no different. So he didn't do anything that nobody else was going to do. He didn't know. He said no. And then they told him, well, we're going to bench you. He's like, okay. Well, then they come to him on that Thursday and say, well, we're going to play. And then they start playing well. They start winning games. And then they have a bad streak near the end of the season. They bench him, and then they get rid of him. Look, I think Russell Wilson needs to resurrect his career. Talking about Pittsburgh Steelers, he's here on a 1-year deal. It's basically a pay for play, or a play for pay, I should say. That's what he's doing. He's out there to prove it on a prove it deal. $1.5 million. He's still getting, $38 million from Denver. This is his opportunity. Now, as far as the Steelers are concerned, does he need to be the starter? I say no. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but here's the thing. If Russell Wilson plays well, isn't he going to want a new deal with the Steelers? I'm guessing he is. And the Steelers would be right in giving him that new deal. Look, the Steelers are ready to win right now. Okay, we don't need to be waiting and beating around the bush for 3 and 4 years trying to win a football game. Look, we're ready to win. It's time to get back to winning. And we'll cover some of that with Mike Tomlin later. So right now, it's win time. So if he plays well, they're going to give him a new deal. And the reason that that's a bad thing for the Steelers is because he's 36. What's he going to be around? Another 2 or 3 years? That's it. If Justin Fields happens to win the job, Justin Fields will be around for a decade. And that's what we want as Steeler fans. We want a guy that's going to be around for a decade. We don't need a guy that, hey, played well for a little bit and he's going to be here for a little bit. It's time. We want Justin Fields to say, you know what? You're here. You're playing well. You won the job. And now it's time to go. That's the whole thing. That's what Steeler fans should want. Again, I understand some of the struggles that Justin Fields has had in Chicago. Also understand that Justin Fields they didn't give him a lot of the things that they needed to succeed. Now, if Fields can't win the job over Russell Wilson, that's a totally different situation. But as Steeler fans, the idea situation is for Justin Fields, for him to win the job, play well, get a new deal, and he's our quarterback for the next decade. Russell Wilson, on the other hand, if that happens with him, it can be a problem. I shouldn't say necessarily a problem because it's not going to be a bad thing if he plays well, but we know in 2 or 3 years we're going to need another quarterback. We don't need that. We're not used to that. I mean, the Steelers had Big Ben 17 years. I mean, we don't need to be recycling quarterbacks every 2-3 years. That's not what successful franchises do. And the Steelers have been that. Look, Fields has had a ton. You see the potential there. If he gets in the right structure, if he gets in the right organization, that number one is going to basically teach him how to play the quarterback position better. Look, Arthur Smith, we can say what we want about Arthur Smith at Atlanta, and it was bad. Let's not kid ourselves. It was bad. But he made Ryan/basket case Tannehill look like a competent quarterback at Tennessee, okay, as an offensive coordinator. He did that. And if you're capable of making basket case Tannehill look good, he's definitely capable of making Justin Fields look good. And not to mention, the offense is catered to making Justin Fields successful in what he's wanting to do. The problem with Russell Wilson, Arthur Smith's offense, it's throwing the ball down the field in between the numbers. That is not what Russell Wilson thrives in, is throwing the ball down the middle of the field. He throws the ball outside the numbers. That's not what Arthur Smith's offense is about. I think we need to capitalize on what his offense is about. Give Justin Fields every opportunity to win the job. Just handing it over to Russell Wilson is a mistake. We can't do that. If we do, I think we're setting ourselves up for failure. I think we would be setting ourselves up to have a mediocre season, which every single Pittsburgh Steeler fan is over with. Enough with the mediocrity. We're ready to win. We're ready to win big. Look, I like Russell Wilson. I think he'd be a great mentor to Justin Fields, but I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I need Justin Fields to win the job and to be our quarterback for the next decade.